they say life starts at 40,
Yeah.
but mine started falling when I was going to turn 40. That is 1997 in February. 97 in February. I was going to turn 40 in July, but things started falling when my husband suddenly died instantly. He took his children to school because those are the times when the people used, tuition was there. So in private school, they would ask the children to be taken to school so that they can perform better. So he took them, it was a Saturday, he took them to school in the morning, and then he said he had a toothache. And I challenged him, why are you keeping on saying, holding your cheek? Why don't you go and get checked? So after dropping the children in school, he went to see his dentist and came back, picked the children, and brought them home. We had lunch actually of githeri. And around 5, he started saying he wants to go and rest because he had a headache. My husband was a veterinary doctor, so he said, wrote a prescription and sent me to the chemist. We are living in Langata. And I said, fine, I obeyed as a wife and went and got medication. As I came back, because his brother was visiting, I heard people speaking in my son's bedroom, and I got surprised because normally we do not have guests going upstairs. So I went upstairs and found he was not feeling well. Then I said, what's happening? He said, just bring that. He shouted and said, just bring the painkiller, I'll be okay. And as he took it, I saw the condition was not improving. I insisted, let's go to the hospital. And of course, we went downstairs and we got into the car, and the children were a bit shocked to see the father who had taken them to school and picked them. He looks a bit weak. So I sat on the driver's seat and I told him to sit at the back with the brother. And we are living in Langata. So as we drove down Uhuru Gardens, my husband says, I can't, we are going to Aga Khan because that's where he had our family doctor. Around Uhuru Gardens, my husband shouted and said, please, I can't make it, take it to Mata. And I looked back and I said, how dare you curse yourself? He said, no, you're going to make it. He said, no, take me to Mata. And of course, as a wife, I remembered that I need to be submitted. So I said, let me drive to Mata. After all, that's what. So we drove to Mata, and I was not very familiar with that hospital. So as we tried to navigate where to park, a security guard came around and said, usiweke hapa. I was trying to park next to the door so that we can go in. He said, no, don't park here. Go to the emergency. So as we walked to the emergency room, he showed us the direction, that is Mata. There was a Asian man who was getting into his car. And as my husband was coming out, he commented, be very careful. That gentleman is in a lot of danger. And I said, my God, may I cancel that in Jesus' name? How can he say that? He had a white coat, not knowing, of course, he was a doctor, he could see. So we got into the casualty. They took care of my husband, and I was told to go and pay that. We are going to admit him. I said, can't you treat him? We go home. Because for me, I'm not seeing the seriousness. He said, the nurse told me, Mama, wacha maneno mwingi, lipa, ukuje. So from that, he told us we go quickly upstairs. They had already connected an oxygen cylinder. And I thought maybe it's not enough because she's telling us we go up, not knowing it is a seriousness. So we went upstairs to Mata Hospital. I was not familiar. They were doing renovation, so there was no sign of HDU, ICU. So they connected him to one bed, and immediately they changed. So I thought maybe the machine there is not knowing that was HDU. Now this is ICU. In this process of admission, they asked me who is our family doctor, and I had told them. And within no time, I saw our family doctor coming in, and I said, Kenya is so advanced. They really have to call the family doctor, not knowing they had called him because my husband was in serious. So as they were treating him, I was walking around, and I had my brother and his brother who had come to visit. So I was walking about, and at one time they closed the curtains, and I thought because I was praying and singing a bit quietly, and they closed the curtain, and I saw the brother said, no, the way these people are running, my brother is in a lot of trouble. Let me go and call our elder brother. So he went. Unfortunately, they had gone out for dinner, but he left a message. Anyway, around 9 o'clock, the doctor who was treating him at casualty came outside, and his eyes were red, and he was a young man. He looked okay. Then he asked, are you the spouse? I said, what is it? Is there anything wrong? Because now he has, are you the doctor? He said, why? The doctor is calling you, your family doctor. I said, why are your eyes red? Why are you looking so different? He just held my hand and took me inside where our family doctor was. And then the doctor held my hands And he told me, we have lost Daktari. They used to call my husband Daktari because he was a veterinary doctor. And I thought, what is he talking about? We have lost him. Now I didn't really digest what that was because now it's in the night. Then after some time, somehow the Lord just brought me that, what is the doctor saying? He held me and took me to where my husband was. Then I touched his legs. I tried to talk to him. He's not responding, and that is the reality hit. And I don't know what happened after that. After some time, the doctor took me to his room. And I just now somehow came back now to my reality. Something has happened. I said, God, how can you take my husband? I have 3 children. Yeah? They were 11, 10, and 4. What am I going to do without a husband?